On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, the Brandery launched its first class in 2010 with a mission to groom local talent and bring outside talent to the Queen City. 6 years later, the Brandery is Cincinnati's big draw, attracting companies to Cincinnati for more traditional tech hubs. Of the 56 companies that have graduated from the accelerator in the first 6 classes, 42 came from outside of Cincinnati. 20 of them decided to stay in Cincinnati, and those out-of-town founders who have decided to stay have raised about $33 million in capital. The Brandery has carved out a niche that's not only bringing startups to the Queen City, but it's put Cincinnati on the international map for entrepreneurs and venture capitalists. Those companies include Framery, Road Trippers, Ahology, and Strap, to name a few. Business Courier reporter Andy Brownfield took this deep dive into the Brandery and joins Business Courier editor Rob Dahlmeyer in the studio with more on what he found. Rob and Andy.
Thanks, Peg. Andy, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Loved your story. I think what I like best about it is that Cincinnati doesn't really sometimes even know what we have in our own town. What makes the Brandery so different? Why have they been so successful so far?
Well, they actually came onto the scene before this big accelerator boom, not only in the Queen City region, but nationally and internationally. And they were inspired by tech stars out of Boulder. And rather than trying to be a traditional tech accelerator, they decided to embrace Cincinnati's strengths. Just, hundreds of years of branding and marketing experience that have sprung up around companies like Procter & Gamble. So they took that and they use it to help startups build a consumer-facing brand that differentiates them from their competitors.
So before the Brandery came on the scene, was anybody doing what they were doing?
With specific regard to branding, no, nobody was helping these startup companies build their consumer brands. But also, they kind of carved out a niche of bringing outside companies into Cincinnati. I mean, there's always been a great, strong support and funding system for startups in Cincinnati, but nobody was really had a mission of facing out and saying, hey, come build your company here.
And so one of the big success stories here is obviously with a place like Cincy Tech, part of the deal is you're gonna stay here. But the Brandery, why have so many companies decided to stick around?
Well, you mentioned Cincy Tech. There are a lot of great seed capital resources for startups. So once they come to Cincinnati for something like the Brandery, they can find funding to take that next step and hire people, build their idea, and go to market. And that is invaluable for young companies.
So they're going to name their new class when exactly?
Well, they've already got the class put together and they have released the names of the founders, but they're currently working on their brands and they should be unveiling themselves publicly soon.
Great. Well, stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And Peg, back to you.
Yeah, the Brandery is a tremendous resource for the city. Thank you, Rob and Andy.